Hey, everybody, welcome to the Lifestyle Practice Podcast. I'm Steve Vandegraff. I'm going to be your host today. Most dentists feel overwhelmed by their practice. Long, exhausting clinical days followed by evenings that are usually buried in some type of business admin. And they worry about the office when they're finally supposed to be taking time off. Taking time away often feels impossible without everything falling apart. At the Lifestyle Practice, we help dentists take back control. We believe your practice should support your life, not dominate it. That means financial freedom, flexibility, and the ability to unplug without guilt or worry. We work one on one with dentists ready to transform how they practice. Doctors who want more than just the traditional path of grinding for 30 years and hoping it eventually pays off. We are not for everyone, but if you want an uncommon practice, one where freedom of time and income aren't just something you hope for at the end of your career, but something that you have now, then you are exactly who we are here to serve. So please reach out to us, Steve, Matt, or Derek at thelifestylepractice.com. As a part of that freedom I'm talking about, today's topic is student loans, every dentist's favorite thing. I'm going to discuss ways to manage and pay off your debt. I'm not a legal certified financial advisor, so you'll want to consult your CPA, your student loan planner type person. But I'm going to share with you an entrepreneurial business mindset on this. Some, again, like I mentioned earlier, some think this is really uncommon, but our group here is for people who want uncommon results. So that's where I'm coming from. Student loans. How do you manage them? How do you approach them? Let's talk first about younger dentists that are leaving school in residency or starting off work as an associate, your first short while after graduation. You likely have 300 or 400 or $500,000 in student loans. It's pretty common to sometimes have 600K in debt. And this debt doesn't just go away because we don't like it. It's something we have to manage. It sucks, but it's just the reality of being a dentist. It's an expensive ticket into what can be a great career. So it's a lot of debt, but don't become crippled. Let's formulate a strategy and attack the problem. The first possible step in this plan when you graduate, or more accurately, after I think a 6-month grace period after your graduation, something unpleasant happens at that point. Your student loans change. Up until now, during school, your loans were in forbearance, meaning you didn't have to pay anything. And the interest on your loans, while it was accruing, it didn't capitalize, which means the interest is added to principal. After your grace period, you suddenly have to start paying back your loans, which is a big hit. That's going to cost you a few to several $1,000s every month. And the interest of your loans, instead of just accruing, it capitalizes, meaning the interest is added to your principal and it starts compounding. You've heard the expression that compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world, a good reason to have assets to grow and compound. But if you have capitalizing debt that you're compounding, you're on the wrong side of this eighth wonder of the world, so to speak. So, what should you do about it? For new dentists and doctors that don't have a large income yet, the newest income driven repayment plan is most likely the way to go. It's SAVE, which stands for Saving on a Valuable Education. This replaces Repay plan and other things that previously were designed to lower monthly payments and prevent loan balances from growing out of proportion due to unpaid interest. In a nutshell, this program caps your monthly payment at a certain amount depending on your income. And then it forgives any remaining interest due that month that your lowered monthly payment didn't cover. The government is subsidizing that amount. If you had to take out undergrad loans, you may have remembered they were subsidized. The interest is paid for you or forgiven so that your principal is not increasing. This new program, SAVE, is by far the most generous of any repayment program that has come out. I'm not going to speak about the politics of it, just that if your income is not strong, it seems like this is a no brainer to take advantage of. It works by capping your monthly payment at 10% of your discretionary income, which they define as 225% of the poverty line. All that means basically, if you're married and you have a child or two, let's say you're making 200K a year, your monthly payment is going to be around $1,200 or $1,300. All of that will most likely go to interest, but the remaining interest due for that month is subsidized away. So this is a pretty sweet deal, right? That's less than renting a small apartment. If you're making under 150 to 200K, this is a great solution. I should say when I'm talking about this, I don't like the idea of some people that say you should keep your income low intentionally because after 25 years of this, the government is going to forgive your student loans. And I don't like that idea. Like, you don't want to wait until you're old and gray to have a strong income and a great life, right? So while the program is great for a lower income, don't let it kind of numb you or dissuade you from your bigger, more lofty goals. And that brings me to my next bigger point. Okay. So there's programs that we can use to try to minimize our payment at first. But if you're in a big hole and you need to dig yourself out, the best way to do it is not to piddle around with some small little shovel. You want to get the biggest shovel there is, like a giant shovel that you can just dig yourself out of this problem. And that is an ultra profitable dental practice. So often people spend a lot of energy and time talking about different payment programs, like I briefly introduced here. Questions like when should I buy a house versus rent, these type of questions. And they're great personal finance questions. But the best way to solve all of them at once is to have a super profitable dental practice full of patients getting tons of treatment done every month. I feel sad for the dentist who says that they're going to wait to buy a practice until they have some of their student loans paid down. Essentially, that they shouldn't take out more debt to buy a practice when they already have a lot. I'm sorry, but this is completely backwards. Turn off the Dave Ramsey, bless his heart, and don't do this. The best way to eliminate student loans is to take out another loan and buy the right practice. If you have a practice, then you need to invest in yourself and your team to make it as profitable and as efficient as possible. So don't just spend too much time toiling around with a little shovel. Take massive action by acquiring or growing your practice, and these obstacles will become much smaller right away. So that's a tip for dentists kind of at the beginning of your career. Once you have a bigger shovel, a much higher income, your debt strategy becomes different. Instead of paying the minimum required by income directed repayment programs, your income is very high, and so you have a very high discretionary income. The minimum payment of your loans in the Save type program is not going to be very different from your regular loan payment. In this case, it's likely better to refinance your loans to the lowest rate possible to achieve a lower monthly payment and a lower overall debt burden that you're going to pay over the term of the loan. For example, a 400K loan on a 10-year term at 7.5%, which is about the rate where most student loans are right now, your monthly payment is about $4,800. If you can refinance that to 4.5%, then your monthly rate is closer to $4,000. So several $100s a month less. And over the 10 years, you're going to pay almost $100,000 less. If interest rates drop in the future, which could happen, then your refinancing for them is even going to go lower. The best rates I've seen recently are from Rhode Island Student Loan Authority, Earnest, and also SoFi. So I would recommend you reach out to all of them and see what the lowest refinance rates you can get right now. And yes, dentists who are a little bit older than me listening to this, you can just smile and be happy with your 2% loans. But for the rest of us, you have a decision to make. Programs like Save, like I mentioned earlier, can help you save until you have a larger income. So you refinance. Even after the refinance, you're still going to be paying a few $1,000s every month. If you have 400K in student loans, even refinance at the best possible rate, that's $50,000 a year just in student loan payments. And these are essentially not tax deductible and they're not a business expense. So you need to decide, should I attack my debt, pay it down, or should I divert my practice earnings towards investments? Should I pay the monthly minimum required to my student loans and invest the rest? There is not a correct answer between these two options. You have to decide what is the best for you based on your financial goals, your timeline, and the emotional effect that debt has on you. Here's a few points of information to help you as you frame this decision, okay? If you're talking about just the finances, just the math behind it, which option will net more income? Paying the minimum each month on a refinance loan and investing the rest will most likely come out ahead. Compare two doctors with high incomes over 10-year span. Each of them have $400,000 loans at, let's say, 4.5%. One dentist chooses to throw all of his money that he earns from the practice at his loans, pays them off after 4 years, and then invests all this money for the next 6 years into something like the stock market or S&P 500. The other doctor just pays the monthly minimum on her student loans from the get-go and invests the rest. She doesn't pay her loans off until year 10. But at the end of 10 years, she's going to be more than $200,000 ahead of the other doctor because she started investing early. Her net worth is going to be larger because of the time value and the compounding nature of invested money. So, strictly from a math standpoint, this is likely the way to go. However, there are a lot of assumptions here. We assumed a 4.5% interest rate and a 10% return on investments, which is what the stock market averages over many years. But if your interest rates are higher than that, or if your investment returns aren't 10%, then this gets a lot murkier. It may not be as advantageous. And on the other hand, if let's say you're a real estate expert and you can reliably use your money and obtain 15% returns, well, then you are beating your debt rate, you're tripling your loan percentage, and it would definitely make sense to put your money there. So that's one scenario. On the other hand, you can, instead of a focus on investing right away, you can just pay your loans off aggressively. This may not have the same numbers outcome after 10 years, but you can't ever go wrong reducing your debt. The psychological toll of having that much debt hanging around your neck is real, especially capitalizing interest, where you have thousands of dollars you're paying every month, but sometimes the amount doesn't really go down very much. It's very demoralizing. Paying down your debt also has a more measurable, observable result oftentimes than investments, because investments may go up or they may go down, and they may not even have a pay date for a few or several years, depending on what you're invested in. So when you attack your student loans, when you reduce your debt, you're getting a positive feedback loop. And so you just get more and more motivated to keep it up. That's the other option. You can weigh out these two factors, the math, the interest rates, and the money versus the psychological boost of paying off your debt. And then you need to decide what the best route is for you. So that's kind of how I would frame that question. But again, let me emphasize my previous point. The best way to handle your student loans is to get a bigger shovel, to focus your energy on your practice. So, yes, definitely compare repayment plans, figure out the best interest rates and the best programs to repay your debt. But the most important numbers you should be focusing on are, how can I go from 4K of dentistry per day to 7,000 per day? Or if you're already there, how can I produce 10K a day, right? If you're already there, how can I improve 20% more? Interest rates are good, but focusing on these numbers will get you in a position where student loans are a much, much smaller problem in your life. So let's not miss the forest for the trees. Determine which of the strategies that we've discussed is right for you, and then pile all your effort into what really moves the needle. I recently worked with a dentist who went to a private dental school and came out with over $500,000 in debt. And you probably don't need me to tell you, but that is just an immense amount of stress hanging over you all the time. He worked at a couple associateship positions, and after a few years, he essentially had the same amount of student loan money he had when he'd graduated. We worked together, got into ownership, bought a practice that had a lot of upside, and put a lot of work into growing it. And after just a year, he's not making minimum monthly payments anymore. He's selecting entire loans to pay off, starting with the highest and moving on down. This is the real way to handle your student loans. Personally, I bought my practice out of school. I came out with 400,000 in student loans. Some of them were in the high 7%. I immediately wanted to refinance. I tried right out of school and I was denied because I didn't have enough work history, which totally makes sense. But after several months, going on close to a year, my practice had become very productive. We were very efficient. We were doing tons of dentistry. And so I went again and applied again to refinance, but I was denied. And it's interesting, associate dentists, some friends of mine, they were deemed credit worthy and could refinance. But since I was a new practice owner, I was not qualified. So I guess they didn't accept P&Ls in their underwriting or whatever reason it is. So at that point, it had been almost a year since I graduated. I couldn't refinance. I was unhappy with the loans, and I just decided to shovel all the capital I had earned that first year, and I just paid all my loans off. And it was an awesome feeling. Oh man, I remember how much I hated those loans. When I graduated, I calculated the amount of interest accruing yearly, monthly, and even daily. So it's probably not very healthy, but I would wake up almost and be like, this is how much more debt I have today, right? So it was an incredible feeling. And when you pay off your loans, it is awesome. You're a free person. And all of a sudden, money stops accruing against you and it's going to start compounding for you. So, recap, guys, student debt, it's a part of the game. Don't be paralyzed by it, be motivated from it. For your first year or two, look at income driven repayment plans like Save while you're putting your energy into becoming an owner. When you have your practice, decide whether you choose to pay down your loans aggressively or invest while making minimum payments. This choice is up to you and your preferences, but whatever you decide, the best way to eliminate debt and to build your net worth is to grow your income by building a thriving practice. Fine tuning interest rates and repayment plans are good, but focus on high leverage moves, increasing your clinical speed, leadership, daily production. Ask yourself, how can I get from 4 to 7K per day? How can I get from 7 to 10K per day? And so on. This shift will change everything. Student loans may feel overwhelming now, but I promise with the right mindset and a profitable, efficient practice, that mountain becomes much, much smaller. If you are motivated by the idea of getting rid of your loans or building your net worth, connect with us. We would love to review your financial situation, whether it's debt or your practice situation, and go over different options of how we might be able to best help you. Steve, Matt, or Derek at thelifestylepractice.com. If you want to email, you're also welcome to visit our website, thelifestylepractice.com. With that, guys, have a great week. Peace.